when you're stuck fighting corpses in comics. Here's your look at the Diamond Select The Walking Dead Rick Grimes Deluxe Action Figure. Rick Grimes is a Kentucky deputy who walks from a coma to find that the dead have risen and now walk the earth, eating those that lay in their path. Joining other survivors, he becomes their leader, only to find that the biggest threat in the world is not the dead, but the living who will stop at nothing to take what they need and to protect what is theirs. Grimes must struggle to keep his humanity intact while trying to keep his family and friends safe. This 1/10 scale action figure of Rick Grimes is based on his appearance in the Walking Dead comic books and graphic novels. It features multiple points of articulation and a variety of accessories. Unlike maybe the pages he appears in, Rick will find that right and wrong isn't just black and white. Before we get a closer look, though, at the comic version of Walking Dead's Rick Grimes, I'd like to first send out a big thank you to the folks over at Diamond Select that were kind enough to provide this sample. As for, though, measuring off Rick Grimes, I've measured him right now, at least with his hat on. You don't have to have him necessarily displayed with that, as the figure does come included with 2 swappable heads. Two. At least sticking with this one right now, Rick Grimes is going to stand at 7 inches in height, translating to a figure that's 17.5 centimeters tall. Mentioning already that Grimes comes included with 2 head portraits, but for accessories, the figure comes with so much more. First, he comes with 8 pairs of interchangeable hands. Say what? 8 pairs of interchangeable hands. 2 closed grips are currently on the ends of his forearms, but so easily could be swapped out for the following things. The figure comes included with trigger-firing finger hands, good for holding the shotgun, good for holding the M16, good for holding his side pistol. The figure also does come included with another gripping hand, good for holding the axe. Say what? The axe. We're going to have a look at all of those in a second. And he also comes included with a couple of mauling hands, grabbing hands. If he wants to strangle the governor, I suppose he could have hands for that. Some of these hands, you may notice also as well, are bandaged. This one on this side is bandaged. This hand on this side, even though they're colored the exact same way, this one is not sculpted with the bandage. The figure does also come included, as already mentioned, several accessories. First of all, the figure comes included with an M16. I think this is M16. Sculpted, though, here in black. Black, white, and gray are all basically the palette of this figure, so kind of get used to those colors as we look at everything, run through everything. M16, which does have a strap, which does really have a means, I suppose, if you want to have this over his shoulder. I kind of had that at the beginning of this review. I may even continue to do that moving forward with having the figure displayed on my shelf. The figure does also come included with a shotgun. The shotgun, though, looks to be probably cast, I'm guessing, in black plastic, maybe. The barrel and the back stock section of the gun is painted here in gray. Now, he does also have a bag, by the way. The bag is all cast here in black, but it does give you at least some afforded real estate space to store the extra accessories. So if he doesn't have a place, for example, if he's not going to be holding the shotgun, ideally, you could really put the shotgun in the bag. The only one thing I will say, and I'm going to take the shotgun out for right now, I wish, though, the strap of the bag was longer or a little more slack. The reasoning why, though, is if you're going to put this on Rick's shoulders or just across his back here, it doesn't really give you enough space to kind of stretch this across. Ideally, I kind of would have wanted this to be angled across his torso. Maybe there's a way to heat this, but the last thing I really would want to do is start to split or crack the plastic there on the top where it's attached to the rest of it. If it was just a little bit more slacked, maybe if it just bowed out a little bit more, I'd probably be able to fit it. Even if you take off the figure's head, because I was kind of thinking for myself, well, maybe if I can stretch this across, there might be a means, but already you can see, just with a little time I've done this, I've actually tried this earlier as well, you can already see stress marks developing on the top of the strap. So I'm going to resist doing that. I'm going to put this down here for a second. Let's go right now and put back Rick Grimes' head. Yeah, I just kind of wish that the bag strap was longer. If it was only just a little bit longer, just a little bit, I'd then be able to have that across his torso instead of just on one side. Just a quick look, though, at the bag. And again, you can see, just with a little bit of time I've done that, there's a stress line right there. Oh, I just hate that it's there. But the bag is quite roomy, though. I mean, I don't know how many people would be able to live inside of a bag this small. It's not that. But I suppose you probably could put a couple of accessories in there. I mean, really, the only accessory, the M16 technically could fit in there, but you'd have to kind of squish the cording, the strap with it. So I probably won't end up putting the M16 in there, but by all means, yeah, shotgun, right in there. Figure does also come included with his axe. Now, the axe and also his magnum are probably the two smallest accessories the figure comes included with, whereas the axe doesn't really have a place to store other than in his hand. The gun, at least, that he comes included with, a little pistol, can most definitely be holstered on the side of the figure's leg. Located here on the side, just below his jacket, there is a holster, so you can take yourself the gun, slide it right in place, and you'll see the end of the barrel sticks out at the bottom. So a nice little place to store that. Lastly, though, to come included with Rick Grimes, you get yourself an alternate head portrait. I think what we'll do also, we'll go back to the hands in a second. Get yourself an alternate head portrait. Not only, though, is it just a difference of one is wearing a hat, one isn't wearing a hat, but you can also see as well, he's got a different expression altogether. Personally, though, for me, I like really the one with the hat, with the sheriff's hat. Now, if you choose not to have that deputy hat, if you choose not to have that, it's just simply a case of popping off the head that he has and replacing with this one instead. Just to show you guys what that looks like from the sides. It's a nicely sculpted head. Full amount of hair there on the back of his hair, or back of his head as well. Like the expression, I just think that this is the better of the two heads. One of the things also I did want to also talk about too is the swapping of the hands. Now, I know we kind of have to rewind a little bit to the beginning of this review, but one thing I do like though about the hands is that they're extremely easy to change out. So let's say, for example, we go back to this trigger firing finger hand. The length of the peg, we'll go ahead and just kind of remove the hand that he has right now. Only reasoning why I'm really going back to that point of this review is just because I want to show you how easy it is to change out the hands. Just pop that in place, and when you're ready to good to go, you can just easily pop the hand out again. No fighting and struggling with the pegs. It's really easy to change out these hands. And of course, if you wanted to, you can get yourself, where's the pistol? Oh, right, yeah, I've got the holster. I got the holster on the side. The one thing I will say, though, is you're probably going to have to heat the hands in hot water. I've noticed, though, while they're not connected necessarily to the thumb, the plastic, though, for these is a little bit resistant to bending it by hand. So you may, in fact, want to kind of heat this up in hot water before you start putting accessories into his hand. In the meantime, though, you can also as well take the axe. I know, really, that's not the hand that belongs with the axe. I don't think anyone really holds their axe with their finger out like this. Maybe some people do, I don't know. But just to show you, he does have proper means to hold the accessories with the hands that he's provided. Let's change out the head. Just move that off to the side. Let's just change out the head one last time to show you guys what the head sculpt looks like. By all means, though, let me know down below in the comments, which do you think is the better of the two heads? I still like this one, honestly. By the way, though, just popping off the ball joint, it's easy peasy as that. We're going to go ahead and just put the new head in place. There we go. And now you got yourself Rick Grimes without a hat. Some people would prefer probably to have Rick looking like this. Again, I just think the other one is a little bit nicer. Full head articulation. I know we're not going to talk too much about posability just yet, but full head articulation, even though he does have the furry collar on the sides, it doesn't seem at all to limit all that much when it comes to rotating the head all the way around, whether you use this head or use the other head that we already started with. But before we, of course, digest all the figure's posability, running through, though, the rest of the figure's details, of course, he does have himself the police jacket on there. Nice little badge there on the side. This seems, though, to be a separate piece from the rest of his body. It looks like it's probably, maybe it's glued on the top by the shoulders here, because while you can pull it away from the rest of his body, at least giving him freedom to move his body and upper torso around, it looks like, though, it might be attached somewhere here on the top of the shoulder, because it doesn't seem like you can pull it off completely. Even if you were to really pull off the jacket anyways, you'd still manage to have the deputy sleeves still in place anyways. Of course, down below, he's also got himself his belt. Looks like he's got a couple of pockets there on the side, maybe holding additional ammunition. The holster we've already established. And down below, we've got some nice rips and tears that they've added into the pants. Looks like some little slash marks there, too. And, of course, down below, Rick Grimes doesn't look like he's wearing, like, cowboy boots, but it does certainly look like he's wearing himself a pair of generally pretty clean sneakers. That will change, I'm sure, as the issues progress. Now, for the figure's articulation, going back to Rick's head, I already mentioned that you could turn the head technically all the way around. The only thing I will say, though, just kind of be careful, because as you're rotating it, you really don't want to flake the paint that's on the top of the collar. Like, it doesn't really have much give, really, to the collar, and you don't want to start to flake the paint or scratch the paint on the bottom of his chin. So with that in mind, you can move the head back and forth. You can move it up. You can move it down. And you can also rock it back and forth as well. For Rick's arms do rotate all the way around. They're a little on the more tighter side. I did notice, though, with Rick's arms, I can't get them at a full 90-degree angle bend. Right around here, right around 45 is where it stops, and it tells me I can't go any further. I'm willing to listen to the plastic. I'm not going to go any further, because the last thing I would want to have is upset. The figure does have, though, a swivel in his elbow. It does also give him a bend. Single hinge in the elbow, a hand rotation all the way around. Good generous ball joint for the top of his body. Equally, a ball joint at the base of his body by his abdomen area. Legs split out, even though he does have the holster on the one side. The holster, at least, though, is attached up here, and it's not nowhere near attached to the leg. So when it comes to moving the legs out, the holster stays out of the way. Figure does have, though, a swivel cut about 3/4 up the thigh. He also possesses a single hinge only in his knee, but at least the lower leg does rotate back and forth. And again, your standard articulation here for the ankle, up and down, a rock back and forth. And the figure does have, even though he doesn't have a display stand accompanying him, he does have at least the means, as he has peg holes in the bottoms of his feet. Rick Grimes, nice looking figure. If you like the classic Walking Dead comics, all done in black and white, you're probably going to love this line quite a lot. Not only were they nice enough to send over Rick Grimes, but they also were kind enough to provide Michonne, which we will be looking at in an upcoming review. For the accessory things that come include with Rick Grimes, I do like the bag, but again, I kind of wish that the bag could have had a little bit more slack, just because then you could have draped it across, well, you could have crisscrossed his torso instead of just running up the side of his body. I have tried that, and again, you already saw in this review, just doing what little time I spent doing it caused a stress mark on the top. I didn't cry, but I was pretty sad by seeing a white line developing on black plastic. The rest of the accessories are good, and still in the end, while I'm going to be displaying the figure with the Rick Grimes deputy hat on top of his head, I do like the idea, at least, that Diamond Select gave us options. And that's one thing that Rick Grimes has going for him. He doesn't have much, though, in the way of color, but what he does have, though, at his disposal is a ton of accessories. Diamond is doing the dead in black and white. Wait, what? What I do really like about this line is the fact that so often we have gotten ourselves figures from the TV series of Walking Dead, and so very little figures we've gotten from the actual comics and graphic novels. Until, of course, now what we're getting here from Diamond Select. So far, I feel like they've only released the Rick Grimes and the Michonne, but I hope, though, that trend continues with other future figures. A Negan, though, in the black and white comic treatment would be fantastic. Not just, though, getting the figures alone. Oh, no. As you saw in this review, Rick Grimes gets quite a heaping helping of, I want to think of something that was wrong, starting with H, had something to do with the dead. I can't think of anything. A heaping helping, though, of accessories to kill the walkers. Some of the accessories, though, work a little bit better than others, while the M16 can easily strap across its shoulders. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for his bag. If, again, the bag was just a little bit more slacked, it would be so much easier to stretch that across his entire torso and not just straddle it on one shoulder instead. What do you guys, though, think of Rick Grimes? Let me know down below in the comment section. Are you also more familiar with the characters from Walking Dead, maybe reading them first in the comics before they became more mainstream? Or was your first introduction to The Walking Dead through the TV series? I'd also, again, like to thank the folks over at Diamond Select that did provide this sample of the comic-inspired Rick Grimes. We had the chance to have a look in this review. As already mentioned, we will also be looking at Michonne, so that will be coming up probably this week, too. To make sure that you're not missing out on any of those upcoming videos. First, though, you can do it a solid. If you like this video, hit it with a like. If you guys, though, want to stick around for more reviews of Walking Dead, then make sure you hit that subscribe, and make sure, of course, you turn on the bell notification. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.